do when I come to this stage is I'll pop it down and I'll go to the folder and show it there.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I just readily
Yeah, just
put them
drag
in
and that's it. Yeah, try one.
I just put them all
Or just put
in
in
the table.
What language is that?
Finish.
Okay.
It's a Greek language.
You'll be here, right? No, it's okay. It's
yeah,
okay.
I'll be here.
It's okay.
Because
Yeah. Okay. Let me just try one.
you can.
All right, it's fine. No, it's okay. It's fine.
But then it's on your own. Just go on the. First slide.
Right, okay. Is everything ready? Yeah? It's okay? Yeah. Okay, if you're ready, I'm ready. I'd just like to start by saying that I'm amazed with Amsterdam, especially with the red light district. Nothing like it in Portugal, where I come from. Very nice, and also the legalized drugs and everything. Good stuff. Okay, Joe, this is my presentation. The title is Easy Facial Constraints, a Dynamic Industry Standard. This is the title of my PhD research, okay, which is starting this month, okay, and it's going to last probably 4 years. My name is Pedro Bastos, and I come from the Porto Interactive Center. Porto is in the north of Portugal, okay? That's my email, and this is the conference, okay? We have those two faces there. And then I should explain FCT. FCT is the Foundation for Science and Technology. That's the direct translation of that, okay? And that's the most important institution here because they are paying my scholarship, okay? The other ones are not particularly important. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the index. I divided the index in two parts. The first part is for you to get to know me a little bit more, okay? A little bit better. And then the PhD research itself. Okay, so where do I come from? You already know. I was born in Coimbra. This is in the center of Portugal. It's a very cultural city. Okay, a lot of students there. And the research I'm doing is in Porto, in the north of Portugal. Just so you get a clue. And let's go to my background. Okay, in terms of education, what do I have? A 3-year degree in multimedia design in Portugal. This I concluded in 2004. And then I went to England, okay, where I did an Erasmus, great stuff there, 1-year graduation in digital animation, which I ended in 2005. Then I got back to Portugal, which I really sometimes regret, okay. 2 years masters in multimedia technology in PT. These two, this last one and the first one, have no comparison at all with the middle one in terms of practical stuff, okay, doing. Okay, I've also worked 5 years freelance from 2006 to 2010, and I consider myself to have an artistic and technical profile, okay? I'll show you some examples of my professional work in the past 5 years, just two. This is a motorcycle I did. This was not in Blender, okay? This was in 2005, I think it was with 3ds Max, both Maya as well a bit, okay? And now I have to show you a video. So I'll have to end the PowerPoint presentation and go to the folder here. And, oops. Yeah, it is. I just have to know which one is. Oops. This should be working properly. Here it is. It's just to show you a quick 360. Can you hear me like this? Yeah.
No, it's better.
It's better? Okay. So that's just the motorcycle in 360 degrees there. Okay, we'll stop it there. Go back to the presentation. All right, so this involved modeling, materials, lighting, and rendering. Okay. Then I did this kamikaze character. This is the time where I got to doing characters, and this was Blender, all Blender. And now I'll show you the video for this one. Okay. Here it is. Just drawing the samurai, talking a little bit. That's about it. Stop. Okay. Back to the presentation. Okay, so what are my intentions, globally speaking, okay? Two, first of all, I want to give a significant contribution to this field, to the field of computer graphics, by doing a 4-year PhD research in facial animation, which is that one you read first. And then, and this is something I really think my country needs, is to give high-end level lectures in college, to push my country forward in this field. Because right now, I'm doing that in a master's in Portugal in digital animation. It's the only master's in Portugal in digital animation, the only one. And it has 2 years. This is the 2nd year it's going on, so you can have an idea. Okay, so now to the thesis itself. What's it all about? To study the restriction methods, which are also called constraints, and build efficient facial rigs for different character styles. Okay, what I have here is 2 pictures, and if you take a look to your left, there's 2 bones there, okay? Bone 1 is shaded in green. That's because it has a constraint assigned to it, okay? And the constraint parameters are right here, okay? So bone 1 has a constraint shaded in green, parameters right here. Now, to understand what's happening here, what's happening is that when you move bone 2, when you drag it around, bone 1 will follow bone 2 because this type of constraint is a copy location constraint, okay? But it will do so according to these parameters here, namely 0.5 influence, 50% influence. So this is what it's called a constraint in Blender, and also Maya has it, 3ds Max as well. Okay, so these are constraints, and these are applied to bone structures. Okay, and bone structures are applied to meshes, to characters. Okay, to do what? To control their animation, right? So, in a few steps, what I want to do is, I want to argue if the constraint setup in a facial rig is working as it should for that facial style, because we have to recognize there are a number of different facial styles available. For instance, our face can be inserted in the photorealistic facial style, but we have more. We have the cartoon style. We have the machine style, the creature style, okay? Right. Now, the final video. This is the kamikaze character I did, and I'll show you how 2 types of constraints work in this cartoony face. So we have to skip this video, jump right to this one. I'll probably just, okay. I'll pass it once more so you can have a good look, and then I'll explain it, okay? Right, that's fine, okay. Go back to the beginning. No, and pause it. Okay. What do we have here? How many bones? 5, okay? 2 bones for the eyes, 2 bones for the antennas, and 1 bone right there, okay? And you can notice the shaded colors in those 4 bones there, right? Okay, what's happening here is we have a track 2 constraint, assigned to the eyes, to the bones in both eyes. And the bone there, when you grab it, tracks those two bones, right? So when you move this bone, the others will follow, will always point to it, tracking it. Okay, so that's a type of constraint right there. The top ones are inverse kinematics constraints. So it means we have a hierarchy of bones from the antenna, from the top to the head. And when you grab the top bone, the others will follow and deform the mesh. So that's just a practical example of what can happen with constraints in a cartoony face. Okay? Okay, back to the presentation. There we go. Okay, let's elaborate a bit on this. The overall objective is this. Took me a while to do this sentence right. So, what facial animation methods are more suitable for animating a specific region? So now we are reaching the specific region in a specific face, a specific region of a specific facial style, be it photorealistic, cartoon, machine, creature, whatever. Okay, so there we have it by pictures. What methods, what constraints for what bones, and for what region, the eye, the nose, the mouth, okay, and for what style. And you can notice that among styles, regions, facial regions can vary a lot. So, how will I do it? First of all, with the help of my supervisor, Professor PhD Veronica Orvalho. She has a PhD in this field. She's great about it. She's more of the programmer type, okay, also with artistic contours. And also the help of colleagues in PIC, the Porto Interactive Center, namely Senzo Alvarez Blanco, the technical director there. He's participated in movies and stuff, so he knows a lot about rigging and animating characters. And of course, using Blender. Not just Blender, also Maya, because you know that Maya has that commercial thing to it. Companies use a lot Maya, but I wanted to be able to do it in Blender as well. Okay, how about in steps? Only 4 steps. First of all, I want to describe each constraint available, and Blender has a lot. Actually, it has more than Maya. Okay, that's the first step, scientific steps. Then, identify which constraints are applicable to the face and how they can be applied to that face, to the region of that face. And then, build the rig prototypes for different facial styles with the most adequate constraints. So this will be the tricky part, to build the prototypes themselves. And what we have here is to the left, we have the bones, just so you know. And to the right, we have shapes associated to those bones, so that we can understand what we're doing. Okay, so we're grabbing that bone. What part of the face are we altering? It's basically that. So in the end, the deal is to validate these rigs prototypes, but also with judgment from other artists, okay? Final impact of all this. For the industry, of course, industry always has to come up. Speeds up the facial animation rigging process and makes it more efficient, because we'll have bone facial animation databases available. For the artist, very important as well. Rigging with constraints so it becomes easy and efficient to animate. If the artist has full access to that. Okay, I want to animate this type of face. Okay, I have this available. Good, I don't have to worry about it. Still, for the artist, how's the interaction? How does he or she, artist, feel about it? And for the future. Okay, this is the technological part I will not be doing. which is to lay the scientific and artistic foundations for the development of automatic facial animation plugins. Okay, so a programmer in the future can grab this study and put this to plugins. And that's it. Thank you.
Are there still people with questions for Peppe? Okay, so for once we are very much in time. Thank you. 6 o'clock we will continue with the open stage part. And I think that since we already finished with this one, it would be nice to maybe have already something happening here. I think some users are in other sessions. So I have 2, 4, 6.
There's one talk more.
Sorry?
There's one more talk.
Am I just not looking right?
5:30 says on the program.
Oh, right, sorry. I was looking totally in the wrong place. So we are not in time. Excuse me. So, Peppe, with the perspective from Costa Rica. So, do you have your own machine? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can do it quickly, if you want.
Just take your time. We are running in 15 minutes late, so it's okay. Just take your time.
Can I connect? Pardon?
Do you have to do anything?
Maybe I have to tell here. Take the space. And there is higher resolution.
So these are the resolutions you can use for puppets.
This really you can use. Okay. Let's use the this the game sample, yes.
So excuse me for the mix-up. Please, Peppe, have your session about.
Pardon?
You can start your session with the perspective from University of Costa Rica.
Yes. Still using the mouse.
Good evening. It's an honor for me to have the opportunity. Pardon? Do we have the full screen? Yeah, it came out cut, but I cannot do anything because the shape of the screen is different, and I have only. This is the best resolution I can find out, but. That's wonderful, magic. I already said good evening. It's an honor for me, so I can go on from this point. It's an honor for me to have the opportunity to show up the work we are doing in the University of Costa Rica with Blender. I missed a piece, this one. For those who don't know, Costa Rica is a small country in Central America. This is a rendering from Blender, obviously, and is a render from a set of data from the shuttle radar topographic mission, 50-meter resolution. Normally, I do it to just test machine and to build up maps that I can use in 3D. Here we have just a render. Costa Rica is a small country, and it's about 50,000 kilometers, and his population is 3.5 million. And I work with the University of Costa Rica, UCR, that is the biggest university of the country. It's a public university, and it's some kind of a macro university. It's called a macro university in the region because even if it's in a small country, it's a big university. It has around 20,000 students, several places with departments all around the country. I work in the audiovisual production unit. I'm the coordinator of the audiovisual production unit, and my job is to produce audiovisuals. So we started introducing Blender in the University of Costa Rica about 2006 as a help to produce motion graphic. Motion graphic is something we need systematically. This is one of the things, like funny, it came out normally, it came out displaced. Okay, this is an animation used in a video, and where we just wanted to show up how did build up a tradition in Central America. The animation has been made from Daniel Salazar, Zancudo, for the people who know him, and is the maintainer of the graphical site where we can download new versions of Blender. Daniel worked with us in 2007, the whole year, but then he got bored. So even if we had managed to contract him in a permanent way, he just dismissed the job. Here is Costa Rica. Here is Costa Rica. He left the job, he left us in a problem, because it's really difficult, at least in Costa Rica, to find people proficient in Blender. So we had to see how to substitute it. This is the job made from a very young student of fine arts that shows up how we use Blender in our production. This is a half show up that is missing the upside part of a filter to chlorate water in Indio zone with appropriate technology. This is pure PVC. And in a way the same population can manage. Well, at the end of the 2008, we started doing workshops for professionals because we hadn't people working for us. We didn't find people who were able to use Blender, and we didn't want to change our platform. Really, the whole platform of the audiovisual production unit is a free open source platform. The only part, and that's why I'm going with this machine, the only part it remains is editing video, but we do all the rest of the job in an open source platform. So we wanted to stay in this platform and started doing workshops to train personnel, to train people who could work with us. Lucia, the one who made the animation before, was one of them. And Daniel Salazar helped us to make this workshop, the first one. Then, in 2009, we followed up making workshops for the audiovisual students' art. We did that because we started receiving demand, asking people just teach us. And we started making this course. I did this course because I think this was the best way to learn Blender. I never learned Blender. I am still a newbie. I am trying to learn every day something more. And this is one of the big difficulties I find, because Blender is a moving target. And so you learn something and the program is already 5 steps behind you. Okay. Doing this, we met a young neuroscientist, Michael Padilla, who should have been here making half of the part of this presentation, because what I really am going to show up is his work. But he had a problem at the moment came out of the country. So I remained alone, and I have to read because I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm sorry if you bother, but I have to do it to guarantee that I'm not talking about something it wasn't really in the schedule. We started with talking with Michael Padilla, the neuroscientist, and the program of science, and we said to him that there was an alternative to what he was looking for. He wanted to start a project needing a game engine. So we said to him that there was Blender, an alternative to the commercial and even the free programs, and that the reason to do that was to start with a platform that will not finish, will not stop your progress, because you just don't have funds, money to buy the upgrade, to buy the new version, to buy the plugin that you need for the specific job. They received input, accepted Blender, and started for their own studying, teaching themselves, learning, and managed to start 3 projects I will show you in a few moments. The first one was a memory assessment project. The second was a simulation of animal behavior project. And the third, this year, is a project of this year, is a collaborative virtual environment project. So, my agenda for this speech will be something like this. There are 3 interdisciplinary projects I want to show you: virtual radial maze for memory assessment, simulation of animal behavior, tracking rats' anxiety profile, collaborative virtual environments. These are 3 projects our department of the project on neuroscience of the University of Costa Rica, UCR, are developing. Then I would like to show you up something we think could be a future initiative, something connected with the neuroanatomy lab, but connected also with the thing that really I want to discuss with you. and I'll tell you afterward. And the relevance of the academic blender, that's the point. So, what is a virtual radial maze for memory assessment? Let me help myself. Oui. To track memory and learning, neuroscientists use it to employ this kind of structure. This is a real maze where the child can move and using some clues, look and find while the researcher tracks the behavior and can build a profile of the performance. This structure is quite big and it's difficult to move, difficult to get, difficult to use. So the people there, the neuroscientists, decided that maybe Blender could be the opportunity to substitute the maze with a virtual one. Using Blender, obviously, and Python. Python is needed to track the behavior and to write down the performance of the child. They started writing the maze and wanted to build up a test with this. So, build the maze. This is an image of the maze built from them. You see, here I want to make a parenthesis. This may seem very easy. It's very simple structure, not very well done maybe. But first, we are newcomers. And second, when I started telling them why there is no light, why don't we put a good light to make good shadows? And no, these are clues. And we don't want any clues more than the clues we need. These are the clues we use. So even the light was more than needed in the work. The investigation went on 3 phases. The first one was to build the maze, and they had to train people to submit the maze. Training people means this is Michael, he will be here, should be here, making this speech. And this is the training Michael is doing with about 68 teachers of preschool for children of preschool age. Here is the maze, and is showing up the maze to the teachers. And you have seen before that the project is a joint project with the Ministry of Public Education. So Blender, in this way, went straight forward from the investigation to the people who had to use it. University of Costa Rica has a philosophy where teaching, researching, and social action go hand by hand. This is a way to test directly and act directly on the society, trying to improve the conditions of life. So the video stopped, and I can go on. So wait. Okay. We trained 68 teachers. So which one is the second phase? The teachers testing the maze with the childs. As half of the picture is outside. I'm sorry, I cannot do anything. Here, there is the teacher, and the child is using the maze, and I would like to show you, to make you notice that the interface is the keyboard. For child of this age, even the keyboard, it's already too complicated. They use the keyboard with 2 hands. So multi-touch, I saw yesterday, see, 2 hands. to use the keyboard. Around 600 childs were exposed to the experimentation. Teachers took notes, and I'm sorry, it doesn't go on. Okay. And the third phase will be the next year. We start the next year when they start, when the neuroscientist project will start processing the data collected from the teachers to see if really there is a validity, a scientific validity, a validation, scientific validation of the data collected. Okay, this is, in some words, the first project I wanted to show you. This is the second project. Even this video is cut. I'm really sorry. What's the business here? Simulation of animal behavior, rats' anxiety. People in neuroscientist laboratory use rats, and they measure behavior of these animals in a structure like this plus maze structure. How do you call it? Elevated plus maze, where the rat is moving on this structure that has one arm open and one arm closed. This is why rats are animals that are afraid of open space. They are prey of many big animals, and so they like to be in places closed and dark. To see how the rat behaves means to measure the anxiety of the rat. If he moves out, you see here, he's looking from the closed space up to the open, but it doesn't go out. It stays there, okay? Measuring this is a process that involves a lot of steps and produce a lot of data. I don't know why this thing doesn't work. Okay. Produce a lot of data that is managed in this way. They film the rat in the maze, and they take note of the positions on the maze, and then this bunch of data goes in a database. There's a huge one where they build a 3 classification decision. Better I read it. This is technical. I don't. I cannot say it in a proper way without reading. The database is huge, but we analyze the database using the Bayesian tree to extract the rules of behavior that better predict the animal performance in the maze. Then, using R and Python, we formalize the rules in a script the Blender can understand. Finally, a script in Python receive the rule syntax and execute the predicted behavior in 3D in a 3D representation of the rat and the elevated maze, plus maze. It means all the data are used to drive a simulation where a rat, a synthetical rat, moves on this plus elevated, and this is used to extract rules and to predict behavior of the rat. This is in a developing state. It means we are still working to have a good representation of the behavior of the rat, and we are using the rats in Joe Frankie. We stole the animation of Joe Frankie and started cutting the movements, because the movements of the rats are those. Okay. The third project, the collaborative virtual environment. This is a project of this year. I think this is the thing that makes me happiest, because it started like the construction of a game where children in preschooler age would play in a collaborative way. It means the game would be resolved only if the children could interact positively with them, between them, and not fighting one against the other. This is important because we want to build a peace culture. And so we want to start from very early trying to develop this in the mind of the people. But I don't know what I am doing. Oh. I don't know what's happening. I'm sorry. I can go on without the slides, but I don't know if it's, it has the same value. Why this makes me happy? I will tell you. Okay, if you want, you can quit it and start it again, maybe. I don't know what I went practicing all the afternoon, and hello. Why this project makes me happy? Because what I'm really trying to do in the UCR is to disseminate, to make Blender as a platform for as many uses as possible. Everything went down, died completely. Okay.
We're getting back to it.
Huh?
We're getting back to it. What was the name of the presentation?
What happened with this project is that beside the collaborative environment, looking at the difficulties there are with the interface, the people in the neuroscientist laboratory had a good idea. Why don't we try with a mind-computer interface? Seems that there are now commercial interfaces that can be connected to a computer to try to manage to direct actions with the mind directly. They both wrote the routines needed, constructed the interface with the computer and connected to Blender. Constructed the interface with the computer? No, because in the process, the one who summed up, the one who joined it, was the School of Electrical Engineering. It means it's a step more in the university up to the use of.
We're almost there. What slide were you on?
Huh?
What slide were you on?
If you want, I can. It was. Thank you a lot. Well, there is not much to see, but I want to see what the electrical engineers were doing when I left to came here in Holland. I wanted to film the interface and the things they were doing, and obviously, thank you.
Just don't go back to the previous slide.
I don't know how. Okay.
Your IR sensor is
Huh?
connected to that.
Yes, this is why it doesn't work.
This down.
Okay, let this in this way.
Yes, they need to see each other.
Maybe if it doesn't go down. Okay, this is the interface, and this is the electrical engineering that is trying to make it work. The day we wanted to shoot, obviously, it didn't work. So we didn't show up what the job is really. No, he is trying to fight with, because apparently there was something didn't working with the wireless connection. The program was there waiting that the interface was working, We found that an overload, a short circuit. I was filming because in the desperation I film always. And finally the interface didn't want to work. That's quite bad. And I came out with this thing. But even if the engineer was a little bit angry, really was not so happy this day. And you see her. No? When I was here in Amsterdam, talking, writing with what happened now? What can I do? Okay. I couldn't film, this is the game engine with the first phase of the game we wanted to submit. The interface works like this. You have to manage, with keys the movement of a ball on the screen, but you on the plane, but you manage the Z axis with alpha waves. I tried it. It's not at all easy. You go out with a head like this trying to make something that you never do. It's like to use a muscle you never thought you had. And the neuroscientist, what happened here? No, I have to go out here because the thing I have is that they send me a small video where finally they could manage the thing work. He simply removed the wireless part. So it's not anymore a wireless connection, but is moving the ball on the screen. This ball on this screen is moving the ball, trying to jump at first and then to go down this tunnel. I mean, you have to jump with your mind and stop to jump with your mind. It's something quite complex to do, at least. Okay. Let me go back to the presentation because these are the three projects I want to at least show up to you. Okay, let's talk what about the future initiatives. And this is the part that I am more interested because it's the real part, the part for which I really wanted to make this presentation. One of the future initiatives would be a neuroanatomy lab at the School of Psychology. This is a model in Blender. Now I'll show you up something that came out from something I think we should know a little more. It means last year when we found that Blender was used so much in academic environment, we came here in Amsterdam, and with the help, with much more than help of some of the scientists present here, there are quite a few. Monica was one of the more proficient, started thinking about academic Blender, thinking about how to push the development of a community using Blender in academic environment. This is because I think that there are characteristics that are specific to the use of Blender in academical environment. So the last year, we managed with Monica and Samir Sharabudi, which is not here this year, we managed to convince the Blender Foundation to open a forum for academic and research. This forum is working from 1 year now. I'm gonna connect if I can. Maybe I cannot connect because there is no good connection. Here it is. And we opened this forum. Monica started it. And in 1 year, we had several visits, several connections. I think that we could do some more. I think that the forum has been used, but as is not being used in its full potential. And so, what is to do with the laboratory? This is a show up why, for me, Blender was, the forum was a big event. I found a link in the forum, someone asking, there is a database, a Japanese database with the human body online, and I would like to see if there is a way to translate it to Blender, because I cannot access it online, and this is a problem very common in some countries. Not all the people has a fast connection, not all the people has a connection at all. So browsing a database like this online is different than have this. Is there a way to bring this database in Blender? This was the ask in the question in the forum. I didn't know about the database, but it seemed to me a wonderful thing. I want it, sure. I want it. I started trying to import the database, and well, I don't know why. How? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how it's possible. How it was possible to do it so easily and so quickly with Blender. I'm really astonished, because I thought it was. I needed at least 3 or 4 months to bring in Blender the whole database. In this case, we are talking about 231 parts for 1,460 faces. And it happened so easily that I want to show you a little. Okay, this is a head, a very common one, but I can keep out the skin. So I have the whole head with all the muscles, and the interesting thing is that every muscle is there. Look here, right frontalis. Here I have a question for the programmers of Blender. Why Blender has only 20 characters for the name of things?
Why not?
Because we need more. You see, this part, set of nasal K. What we have to do, we should start looking at the code. Maybe this is the best option. Looking at the code, find out where is written 20, and put 200.
It's not that easy, but we have been thinking about increasing.
You have been thinking about it.
Yes. But there are a lot of numbers are they really necessary?
Yeah, this is because the database came in a format where every part, there is about 800 parts. Every part came with a number and no name. So to make it useful, we have, and this is a good thing, to be a university. It means to think as a university. It means that you can think as if you have a whole university behind you. So if I need someone that writes something, that writes a script, that read a database, and rename 1,000 files, putting the name near the number, well, I get it. I get it, and here it is. No?
You can use custom properties to store information of the, like as a workaround. You can put the full names in the in custom properties, and basically any data you want from the database import, like the database.
And the preferences.
Sorry?
In the preferences of Blender.
No, to the object data.
You can attach custom data to
Yeah,
objects.
to the objects. The script that does the import.
Okay,
Can
you
put the
will
data to the
explain.
custom
You will
properties.
explain me.
Yeah.
You will explain me later because
Yeah.
I think this
Yeah.
would be too technical. Maybe. Okay, I really like this kind of things because I can do this. Look, I can. Oh, I can. Okay, I can keep out a muscle. I can take out another muscle, all the muscle I care, I want, the whole group of muscles. This thing I don't like, this confuse me. Okay, we are used to see schools without the cartilage. So what happens if I want to keep out a part of the bone? Look, there isn't a brain inside. And a brain, I don't know, we are used to think of brain like if a bolus of fat, something like that. Brain is a very complex structure. And neuroscientists are very interested in how it's done. So let's keep out the school. Okay, maybe better to keep out also the deeds I want to keep. Okay. This makes a little easier to move because the machine is crying for it's heavy. Okay, what happens if I keep out a part of the cortex, the frontal lobe? Here you see the utility to have the names. I can learn the anatomy of the brain just playing with Blender. Here, corpus callosum, right insula, left insula. Well, we don't know. We are not going to play with this because this is not the reason of the speech. I just want to show you a little more. There is the whole body. The other was oui. There is the whole body, but I have no whole screen. Okay, let me. No, I cannot do anything. The set of data is a Creative Commons data. The set of data has been built from Japanese. They put it online. I showed you the link. The data are accessible to everyone. I didn't do anything. I just received an input from the forum and used this input to play with something I like. Blender allowed me to build a very complex model in very few steps. This is the reason to be of the Blender Academic Forum, Blender for Academic and Research. It's the reason to be to try to work together, to try to share information. I think that the next days I will put it on the forum in a way the database is accessible, and if someone wants to share and build up on this, better. But I think that what we really have to do, and I should go back to my presentation that's not here anymore. Okay, it's not here anymore. I can finish it just talking. There are several things I think we should talk about academic Blender. There are differences with the normal user of Blender. If I'm too late, just tell me. For example, I am noticing that normal users of Blender are very attracted from character animation, while scientists normally are attracted for environment animation. Monica uses game engine. Michael Padilla uses game engine. other people in this conference has showed up his work in academy and showed up use of game engine. Maybe we should reflect on this, we should think on this and make proposals. Or even we should reflect on this and start pushing our universities to develop code. That's what really we should do. There are other things I think we should discuss. Where do we find people good in Blender? Are there, in Costa Rica, are some. Daniel Salazar was bored and went away. He said, but I am an animator. Animating environments was not enough for him. So we have to build up a group of people able to use Blender and able to think and use Blender in the context we need. We need to move faculties to produce what we need as code. In UCR, the informatics school seems to be a business school. They are very interested, very focused in selling software. They teach software with licenses. They don't produce any more code. That's why engineers from electric engineers that are producing code to make the interface working, they have to write code, are important to us. I want to finish this presentation. I think that we are 2 minutes. Just making an invitation to everyone who is interested to talk about the future of academic Blender in the dinner tonight. If it's possible to stay together and talk a little, we have no much opportunities. So maybe this is a way to start interchanging information, start interchanging possibilities, and what is possible to do tonight, wonderful. What is not possible, we could keep on using the forum to build up this. I think that the academic world has a lot to share, a lot to produce, and a lot to build in benefits of the whole community. As the University of Costa Rica, we would like to be part of this. I had a thank you. I have no presentation, but thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. So we are running a little bit late. It's normal, I guess. So all the people who have come to meet yesterday and today to take part in the open stage, please be somewhere seated in the front, so then that we can have maybe some smooth part of the program. I will be doing it so that we have around 9 or 10 people who had something to share with you. It means about 10 minutes per person. And I'll just give the microphone and you do your thing, and in 10 minutes, if you're within 10 minutes ready, it's great. It would be nice if we can get back some of the time. Otherwise, I will just cut in and give the microphone to the next person. So, Sebastian. So I hope that everybody can get their equipment quickly set up.
Maybe you don't leave right now. This light, it somehow relates to your talk.
Okay.
I just start putting up. So if you have something and you want to show something, you need putting up, you can already bring equipment here. It will help.
Let's grab the screen as well. Yeah. I've used this one. Oh, this is really small. I wanted. Ooh, what's happening? All right. I just wanted to take the opportunity to present something. At first, I was very unsure if that fits or if it's even interesting. But now that I've seen the last talk, or at least the last bit of it, I think this might be somehow interesting for some people. Because I've been working for, I would say, a small startup called Vet Campus, which is a website for veterinarians, or I don't know, animal doctors, like an e-learning platform. So people can go there and learn about what's it called? Animal medicine, I don't know. Veterinarian stuff, like diseases of animals, pigs, for instance. And they can go there and inform themselves and make use of it. So what my part was to animate sick pigs in Blender, of course. So that's what I wanted to show you. So there's one disease called myopathy in Germany, myopathy in English. I have no idea. It's a disease, and people can go there and inform themselves about how a sick pig looks like with this disease. So that's what I wanted to show you. So I've made a small. To make it smaller. Yeah, I'm not sure if that would fit to this screen, though. That doesn't fit. I think maybe this is good enough. I don't know. So this is this pig with this disease. The disease is you have blue nose, blue ears, and the pig is sitting like a dog and making and it's walking very slow. Yeah, and I think this might be one use of Blender in even Blender animation in medical environment. So this project was just about these sick pigs. There's 3 of them. And future projects might involve more, or might focus more on organs, like how exactly does an ill heart work, or when you would cut open the body and look at this ill heart, how does it work or work not? So that might be something where you can better get an idea of some diseases. And then just for fun, we also put these sick pigs in environments. So there's a pig with a disease and a fellow pig coming that is obviously very healthy and sliding on the floor. And I think that Blender is just perfect for these things, as Blender is perfect for most of things, but this is something where it's really useful and really good tool to visualize some things. So the next project might be a sick dog, but it's not rigged yet, so at least not fully rigged. So he needs still the bones and the armature. I have it. Oh no, these are the sick pigs in the blend file with the camera tracking from Synthesize, obviously. But that's all right. Message. So these are the sick pigs. And do I have the sick dog? No. Well, it's not finished anyway. It doesn't work. Anyway, that's just what I wanted to show you. Blender in veterinarians' use.
Thank you, Sebastian.
Thanks.
Eskil, come down from there. It's your turn. Yes, you were the second. So Eskil will be showing, like he did also in the cancelled session, animation edit, UV edit, texture tool, and a performance metering tool he's working on with Verse and Love.
Where should I put this in? On the table? I hate leaning podiums. It's killed one of my laptops this year.
But you got a new one in place.
Yeah, but it wasn't free, unfortunately. Okay, do you have a signal? Probably not. So how many people were here when I showed earlier today? Oh, there's nothing. That's perfect. How many people have seen any of my stuff before? Oh, it's a couple. Have. Okay. Okay, it should do something now. Yes. Okay. So, a couple of things. I'm gonna try to be very quickly because I'm not kidding, like 10 different apps I could show you. I could be here for the entire day. So, where do we start? Let's start by showing the UV stuff, just because that's fine. So right now I'm running a Verse server, and I'm going to connect a modeling tool, which is called Locaro, which is a very old but very cool modeling tool for subdivision surfaces. Here's a model. And I'm now going to connect, just to show you Verse, if you don't know what that is, another copy of the same application. Connect to the same server. If I do a selection, if I start changing, they're connected. So this hopefully will work in Blender 2 very soon. But that's not what I'm here to show. A couple of years ago, I was here and I showed a UV mapping tool that I thought was really cool, that made it really easy to do UV mapping. This, however, makes it easier because I just UV mapped this object. That was it. It's 100% automatic. In fact, if I change this model, you can see on the fly, it can create in real time new UV layouts. So let's actually go to here's a gun, for instance, from my game. And you can see how it's packed it all, and I can now go in my modeler and make a change, and it just happens. And if you want to, you can go into the settings, and you can turn on animated, so you can see how it's all happening. So that's pretty cool. It's a little bit of a time saver if you don't like UV mapping. And also you can do like settings, like for instance, you want some spacing if you want, you get color bleed and things like that. You got symmetry if you want it to be symmetric. Not very good if you're trying to do things like baking, but still. With what?
More organic shapes.
It can handle any shape, doesn't matter. So it's generic. So right now, what I'm working on is a couple of different projects for my game Love, which I urge you to check out. We'll see if I get a second to show it. And to do that, I'm working on a procedural animation system. And for that, I have this animation tool. Be faster. Here we go. So you get this little guy here, and wow, he looks wonky. You can actually change the setup of this guy. So you can make his legs a little bit longer. There we go, something like that. I've obviously saved during bad moments in editing, so I'd set up. So what's cool about this guy is that he's animatable. You can drag an arm, it's IK, and he's, animatable. But he's actually able to do many things at the same time. So for instance, let me animate him waving. So I'm creating a new clip. I'm grabbing his arm here. And I'm going to, instead of animating keyframing, which is really slow, I'm going to just press record. And then I'm going to grab it and say hello, and then put it back. So now we have a number of keyframes and some animation. If I go back to my default, I can now trigger this by just clicking hello. And of course, the character can do that while doing other things. So here we have a character walking around, and at any point I can click to say hello. And in fact, I think he can do other things like, oh, I don't know what, I have, okay. I have a ducking animation somewhere. Here, that's a gun. That's another way. Yeah, I've added a bunch. But so you can really animate in interesting ways. So I'm going to stop him for a second and show him interacting with objects. So this object could be, for instance, a gun if you're making a game, because all games are about guns. So here we can actually, whoops, here we go. I can now aim this gun in, some random direction, and he should really hold the gun. That makes it so much more realistic. Oops, I'm going to place this hand over here. I'm going to place this hand over there somewhere. Okay, so now we have guy with gun, and if I move the direction of the gun, he's aiming, right? He's looking in a weird direction, so I'm actually going to move his look direction. So now he's actually, animated. And actually, if I now turn on the movement, I have a guy who's running around aiming, right? And at any time, he can actually says, hello guys, I'm here aiming. So you can sort of merge together all your animation into one. You can also interact with objects in the world. Whoops. Oh, cool. This is why this is not done. Where are we? That's a bug. Yes, crashing is a bug. It's not a feature. But this tool has been in development for about 2.5 weeks, so it's pretty early. But it's almost done. So now I want to animate this guy using this object here. So actually, he's already looking at it, as you can see. So what I want to do is have him hold it. And that shows off some nice features about this type of animation. So now I'm animating, essentially I'm creating an animation of the object. How does this character relate to this object? So he's holding it, right? Now, let's assume we move this object. He will actually move with it, right? And actually I can make the object larger, and he will actually reach out in order to hold the thing, right? Or I can, let's make it smaller again. I can actually rotate the object, and he will have to sort of fiddle it around, right? So now you can actually also change the character for this. So let's show the setup again. So let's say this guy has really short arms, and he also have to, change in order to deal with that. Or he has really long legs, so I have to bend over to reach, or, reach up. So these are kind of, means that you can make one setup for animation. You can sort of explain, this is how a character holds this object, and that you don't have to really care about the character, what kind of character, how tall is the character, because you've sort of described this is how you hold this object. And actually, let's see if I think I've screwed this up royally. Yeah, I have. Make his head smaller. Let's start it over. You
One
can make
more minute.
Sorry?
1 more minute.
One more? You're kidding me.
No.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to try to animate a character pushing a button in 1 minute, okay? So I'm going to start at a clip, okay? I'm going to move his hand over to the button, right? Say the button's on this thing, right there. I'm going to move forward in time like there. And then I'm going to move even further. I'm going to press the button like that. Sorry, are we doing it right? There we go. Now I think I did it completely backwards. Yeah, I did. Let's click, moving back, and then move forward, and then push it back. Okay, here we go. So now we have some sort of animation of the guy pushing it. No, it shouldn't be. Sorry, I'm completely. You shouldn't have told me how little time I have. It's all your fault. There we go. So now he's going from this position to that position, which is pressing the button, and then back, right? But you can see these little in ramps you can see here. So I can move those in, right? And now, when I go back to my default, it will actually use those ramps to sort of ease into the starting point, right? And then press a button, go back, right there. So now if I make the button smaller, he will actually go press, right? And I can actually now easily, for instance, create a button that is angled in a weird angle, and here in the ceiling, and the guy will just press it, right? So you sort of animate the button. You don't animate the character, right? And then the character sort of figures out how to do the button.
Thank you very much, Eskil.
Yeah.
I'm afraid we have to go to the next.
Oh.
So next up, Andrel is going to talk shortly about his usage for Blender.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, come up afterwards and I'll show you a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready.
Okay, I'll try to very fast talk to you about a little bit about what I'm doing and what I intend to do in the next couple of years. I'm working in the Heart Failure Research Center in the Academic Medical Center here in Amsterdam. So I'm actually in the experimental cardiology department, and the other part of the department is the anatomy, embryology, and physiology. So first start with my own things. Yeah. What I'm mostly doing is recording multi-channel ECGs, and why is my keyboard not working now? Okay, let's see where I can go up and down. There's something weird going on. Anyway, this is my setup for multi-channel ECGs, where I have my patient, put a lot of electrodes on them, record many ECGs. And if... Okay. What I want to do really is not record the ECGs, but I want to compute back towards what's going on in the heart electrically. So I need a very good, accurate volume conduction model, and that's where Blender comes in. And I did a little bit already, and this is sort of what I've done until now, and it's not right, and it's, I think Jonathan will complain because it's all a triangle, so that's one of the things that we'll have to change. Because I want to adapt my meshes to an individual patient. So I need a description of the real patient. I have the MRIs, so I need to fit my model to the MRIs. That's basically what I want to do. And for that, this is a sort of schematic diagram of what we're going to do in the next couple of years. And actually, I do have a project, and we're still looking for PhD students. And the one in Amsterdam is going to do most of the things that have to do with the 3D things, and then the computation will take place mostly in Nijmegen. But of course, we will work together. We have 2 PhD positions. So there's the one in Amsterdam that's probably partly Blender, and depending on who is going to do it, it will be a lot of Blender or a little bit of Blender, not sure yet. We need to do some nonlinear transformations of the whole inside of the body and the outside of the body to match that to the MRIs. So there will be a lot of mathematics involved, And also, of course, we can't check in a real human the inside and the outside of the heart and put all the electrodes on that. So we need, unfortunately, some animal models for that. So in case anybody who was wondering already why I'm wearing a tie with pigs, it's because we're going to do pigs. So you need also to be able to stand a little bit of blood. I'm sorry. And in Nijmegen there will be the electrical modeling. One other point is that the deadline for the PhD student to apply is on Monday. So it's not much time anymore for you, but if you send me an email and say, well, I might be interested, or I know somebody who is interested, do it as soon as possible so we can take them on in the procedure. I think it will take another week or so before we really are going to invite people for talks or do it on the internet or whatever. So that's one of the projects. The other one is embryology. We're also doing embryology in our department, or in the center at least. And that's because they are also interested in how the heart develops. So they're doing lots of experiments on that. And as you all know, or probably don't know, your heart doesn't start out as a 4-chamber heart. It starts out as a heart tube. So it really starts out as a sort of tube where we have peristaltic contractions, if everybody remember what the peristaltic contractions are. And then it starts folding and expanding and doing lots of stuff. And then in the end, you have a 4-chamber heart. It only takes a couple of days. But I'm always wondering how on earth nature designed something like that. Well, I sort of understand it. But, of course, there's lots of things going on. And one of the things I want to mention is that that's my last line here, is that if you want to teach embryology, you have to accommodate all these kind of things in your head, when you're taught. So it's a very difficult subject to teach. And what we really need is a lot of good animations to bring across the points in the development, how things change. And one of the other things small animation I made is this one, where this is how the heart tube forms, because it's not the beginning, there was something before that. There's some sort of structure, it's sort of flat, folds over, folds back again, and after some time, presto, we have something that really resembles the heart tube. So this is sort of how the heart tube forms. I didn't animate it further than this because if you see in the middle where the blue lines touch, they will fuse. So here I have a point where my topology is changing. And that's something that happens all the time in development. The topology is constantly changing. The axes are changing. So it's a horrible subject to understand. But I think Blender, the blending community, could play a role somewhere in there. And just as we have found some money to do the other project, I think I want to try to find money to have somebody to really animate this, because I think no embryology department can do without a good 3D animator. So, there's already, as Peppe told, there will be me, Monica, and Peppe, probably a couple of other people at the dinner from the research side. This is my my email address. If anybody is interested in a PhD where you can use a little bit of Blender, or much of Blender, give me an email. And that's about it.
Thank you very much. So then next up, Colin Macy with digital puppetry. Yep.
Are we there? Not really. Yeah, I'm just going to move this across. Yeah. I should be up there, shouldn't I? Did that work? Ugh. Gonna have to clone it. Help me here. I'm trying to get the clone.
Could somebody give us a hand getting the image up on the, like, cloned, so it's identical?
You have it installed now? And make that display the
You
main
just swap
display.
them. Yeah.
I think that will be the quickest. In the control center. The control center. Yeah. Make it the primary one. Not extend it then.
No, so make this.
Maybe you need to uncheck something there.
No. Here.
No, if you now apply it so that it's not extended. No.
I'm going to move it across and we'll basically do it like that. Okay. We're just going to do it in a crude way. Yeah, my name is Colin. This is Ewan.
Yeah. So we're both, what we would say, computer graphic veterans. I've been in computer graphics for about 15 years.
I'm a little bit less.
Yeah.
We love CG, but what we actually want to be as performers. So basically we got a problem, and we're hoping that you guys here might be able to help us with this problem.
So about 15 years ago, that would have been my desk on the left. So quite boring, keyboard, screen, and not a lot changed for the first 5 years, I'd say.
But things have changed. So there's a lot of tools which overlap between computer graphics and the performing arts. And there's also now, with new technology coming on, there's the potential for skills overlapping between the performing arts and the CG world.
So for example, games have evolved and interfaces will use body information to help interact with the on-screen image. But for us, being really interested into performing arts, it's still only a little step. So we would like to discover the potential where you actually perform within a digital environment through puppets and characters.
Yeah, so our background, and we've both, so Ewan and was fortunate enough to be one of the lucky guys to be paid to use Blender on an Oscar-nominated movie last year. If you guys don't know, Blender was used on the Secret of Kells. Also, Ewan's also worked on a lot of, is a motion specialist at Weta, working on the Lord of the Rings and the Kong movies.
So that was mainly motion capture, so pretty standard industry technology now where you capture an actor's motion and map it onto a CG creature. But for us, it's still, there's limitations there still.
Yeah. So I, my main sort of work in CG was, I set up a company called Natural Motion, who do an awful lot of animation engine work and dynamics-based simulation. Very proprietary, very expensive. I'm currently head of research at Audio Motion, which is one of Europe's premier motion capture studios. But we think that all this sort of stuff is cool, and doing performance capture is cool, but there's loads of real limitations to it.
Yeah, and also the actual live stuff where the magic happens, where you interact and make up stuff and improvise it in real time, that's still a small part of motion capture. So you'll capture something on the day, and then there's still like a huge amount of edit work which follows after. So for us, we'd like most of the things to happen real time.
Yeah. So here's so here's a taste of something that we sort of have been playing with, which will hopefully appear on this screen and not on this screen. Ugh. There we go. There we go.
So this is basically using quite cheap off-the-shelf optical cameras, and we're using retroreflective markers to move the puppet on screen. It's a shame we don't have sound with this. So the response is quite instantaneous. So you can take the puppet, discover its motions and its vocabulary, and start developing a character. So we're hoping that anyone that picks up this character will develop its own language. So it's got a unique motion signature, which is the advantage of having body input drive the motion.
Okay, yeah. So in order to get around, our proposal for sort of solving this is to set up a not-for-profit digital puppetry troupe. Current working title is Show of Hands. We sort of bravely applied to, actually that's the next show. Basically what we want to do is put on live digital puppetry shows and tour with them, and in parallel develop an open digital puppetry platform to support this, and also to be able to share what we're doing with everyone else, and have lots of other people contribute to the project.
So we're trying to escape from our desks and go on the road.
And escape from the world of proprietary, expensive software.
So why are we here? Why Blender?
Yeah. So, and Ewan has an awful lot of experience with Blender. I have much less. But we both really want to move much more into open source. A lot of my recent work has been using open source like OpenCV and Python, and I want to push it to the next stage. And for me, Blender is the obvious place to go.
And I think there's a lot of really gifted, over the years I've met a lot of gifted puppeteers, and you want to get the tools and the technology and put it in the hands of people that will be creative with it. And I think Blender is probably the best option to go for to actually achieve that goal.
Yeah, and technically, the tight integration of the runtime and the animation tool is, we think, will be sort of help in the process of being able to have sort of seamless transition from puppet creating tools to puppet performing tools. Yeah.
So what's the actual show? We sort of dove in the deep end, and there's a twice yearly World Puppetry Show in Charleville, which is sort of a main event in the puppetry agenda. And we enrolled this year with a proposal for a show, which is basically within an African setting, trying to create motion and driven by motion. We've got a short story, but in the puppetry tradition, we want to start with the puppets and rehearse with them, play with them, discover what the puppets are, and develop the story from that point onwards.
We have some other project ideas, but we're focusing on this one at the moment. So there's sort of collaboration. You know, it's a big undertaking. We think it's doable, but we'd need a lot of help as well. So on the tech side, the kind of help we need is in integrating the real-time motion capture hardware into Blender. I have a lot of experience with sort of physical simulations, but no hands-on experience with bullets, and whether that be the right tool to use within the simulation. We want to do remote jamming, so we need sort of networking and sort of shared virtual worlds puppeteering. And yeah, a key thing is you want to try and make the tools friendly to sort of very non-technical people. So that's so some innovative GUI design will be needed there.
And on the art side, we want people to play with these toys. So if there's any budding puppeteers out there, we would love you to join our troupe. We have some help in building the puppets, both how they move and how they look would help us.
We know nothing about music and audio.
Audio, for example, because the characters' voices will be driven real time. We need to find creative solutions on how to do that.
And so something that's different from most CG projects, kind of this because it'll be live shows, kind of stage management and direction, those sort of skills, and we're happy to learn those, but they're skills which are different from the normal CG world. We also hope to record and document the process, so we're going to have a blog to keep everyone who's interested updated with how we create the performance.
One more minute.
Okay. And yeah, so that's me, and that's Ewan. We're hoping to have for anyone who's interested, have a session somewhere here. I haven't got a location yet, so 11:30 tomorrow. Anyone who can't make it, who's interested, who can't make it at 11:30 tomorrow, will be at dinner. We should be visible enough, so just come and introduce yourself.
I suggest to meet up at the registrar desk, so then after that you can find some place.
Okay, great.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right.
Next up, Dirk Smit.
That's quite
so
a lot
I
of
hope
people.
we can get through all the people who have talked to me about this. Let's see if we can squeeze you all in. I can't promise for everybody to be in here, but let's try our best.
So do we have anyone who is a bit capable with Windows? I'm obviously not.
It's not him? Is it Windows? No.
Okay, anyway, as long as this gentleman is going to help me with the setup of that damn computer, a few words about my person. So my name is Dirk Schmidt. I'm 40 years old. I'm a happily married man. Thank you. And I'm proud father of 2 sons. Vaguely, 2005, I came up with the idea in my mind, or it was an impulse, that I should make a movie. I was, and I still am, a painter and a sculptor and all that, so I had no idea at all about digital arts and stuff. And I started these days, and I was so stupid to go with Lightwave these days, because of the project I had dealt with animal creatures, like fairy tales and stuff. Well, I had my lessons learned concerning software, and what I had here, this is a motion picture. This is 90 minutes plus, and I did everything. I did models, I did the amateur animations, I did the writing, I did the music, and I had a little help with setting up of sound. And the reason why I'm here is I'm an amateur. I mean, I'm a printing press operator, so don't expect any mysteries, but I finished that one, and most people ask me, okay, right now, I think you're fed up with that topic and you won't make any more movie. But I will. I will make another movie, and I just won't use Lightwave anymore. I'm sick of being stuck in the 80s. I want to use a decent software, and the Blender is the most decent software I've seen so far, and it's free. So for me, this is a bit like a call to arms, because the next project won't have so many bad visuals anymore, I hope. And I'm really looking for someone who could help me improving my skills with animations and facial animations and all that stuff with acting and maybe even writing, I don't know. And I would be glad for everyone who would enjoy helping out a little bit, maybe with a model or with a concept, or maybe making lip synchronization, textures, just like everything. I've set it up a very small community ad, which shows up a little bit character design of the new movie. That will be again a fairy tale style thing. And yes, So if anybody wants to help me with that project, the only thing I can promise about it, I started it once and I finished it, and the next project will be finished too. So it won't be wasted. So this movie can be downloaded at www.fireball.org, like James Bond, Fireball. And you will find everything there, like slow resolution movie, a high definition video. Especially the high definition shows a lot of weaknesses. I mean, a shitload. And I hope to avoid that this time with the help of people who knows their stuff. Because I'm, as a person, right now I do have a lot of knowledge about many things, but I'm not really good at any of them. So maybe with a little help from some specialists, I think the next project will be a much better thing than the current one. So I don't think I have to tell much more. Are there any questions here?
The full movie, is that available from your site for download?
You can download it. Well, you can watch it on Vimeo, or you can download it. So I don't expect anyone people, oh, I'm into it. But maybe one or two people might be interested after all. And I would be happy for any kind of help or even advice I can get.
How long did you take to make this other movie?
Well, it took me 6 years to do it. Almost 6 years, and it was 10 hours per week. This is a real movie. I only did it while riding in the train, because at home I had the kids, daddy, daddy, daddy. Can't go on the computer. At the weekends I can't go because my wife, daddy, daddy, daddy. Again, won't work. So I only can do on the train, or sometimes I sneak out at my job and in the lunch break, and if nobody's around, I get my notebook there. But actually, that's the schedule. I still think that the next movie won't take 6 years again, because now I know how. I think every possible mistake for a movie, I did it twice, and I have no plans to do them a third time. So then, thank you for listening. You didn't laugh at me. Oh, well, that will be it.
Thank you. So next up, Gilberto for the Morse demo. Are you here? Gilberto for the Morse robotics simulation. Now let's continue with the next one then. Julius and Mats.
Coming? It's bad. Hello?
You can already talk while fiddling with that.
Yeah, okay. So I thought I'd start by asking how many people know actually SETI at home. Okay, quite a few people. How about a Finnish film? Actually, Dirk was just presenting another sort of Creative Commons. Is it a Creative Commons? It is. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Okay. So, how many people? If a lot of people know SETI at home, how many people know a Finnish film called Star Trek? Okay. Okay. Quite a lot of people. For those who don't know what each of these are, SETI at Home has been around since the end of the 90s. It's basically about volunteer computing. It brings a lot of people together for finding ET from the sky. Now, what Star Trek is actually, it was a kind of a sci-fi parody made in Finland. also released under Creative Commons, and actually it became the most viewed. This is unofficial, but it became the most viewed Finnish film of all time. Actually, you can go check it out, the whole movie also online. It has a very wide fan base, and actually the guys are now making a kind of a sequel. It's not a sequel really, but it plays on the same sort of fantastic ideas. Okay, now a couple of years back, I got a crazy idea. I was reading an article about this movie, and I was reading the article said actually the guy standing here, Samuli Torssonen, he wrote in this article that or he answered the reporter when the reporter asked about this subject, he answered that he actually rendered the movie. He was using Lightwave at that point, and he rendered the movie in his mother's kitchen for 1.5 years using 5 computers. And apparently the mid temperature in the kitchen was about 32 degrees Celsius for all of the time. And I actually got this kind of crazy idea. Now, what if you would actually, because they were already kind of using the volunteers to participate in the making of the movie, I got this idea. I'm not actually from this background at all, but I thought I had an original idea. Why wouldn't the volunteers actually want to participate in the making of the movie, also using their computers? So I actually came up with this idea. Fortunately, I found out that a guy called Janus Christensen had been doing this kind of service since 2004, 3 years prior to my idea, which kind of just gave me more incentive to actually get into action, and because I'm not a technical guy actually, so I was really fortunate to find out that something like this was happening. And what happened was that we managed to import this technology into Finland, and this technology then we focused actually thanks to Nathan who's been a big part of the development of the accessibility of the service. We developed something called renderfarm.fi. So it's basically bringing these two things together, so movie making and volunteer computing. Now, as a user, how do you actually use the service? You can download our version of Blender, which actually is necessary still for us to maintain because of a little bug in Python. This is supposed to kind of, hopefully somebody from Python is watching. But basically, you can download our version of Blender, or you can actually just enable the add-on in the most recent releases of Blender. You can start using it in 5 minutes. If you get to the point where you're using the service, we would actually hope that you also participate in donating your computing resources to the service. This takes another 5 minutes. You will need to download something called Boink, which is the same program actually being used by SETI at Home. So it's a very quick process to start using the service. Now, as in order to download the actual PNGs that we create, you need something called CUTS, which is another open source software, actually mostly by Janus Christensen again. Now I was actually going to ask Mats. Mats has tested the service. He's actually a pretty professional Blender user, so I was thinking that Mats could actually talk more about maybe the benefits of or the kind of the vision for an artist who is using the service, and maybe Mats can show the animation that is.
You're gonna press the button.
Yeah, actually, I'll
keep it short, so don't worry. I think this is just a test animation that I made to test out the service, and just to show that I do a lot of character animation. I need sort of to know that it works with Blender 2.5 and there's not too much restrictions. In fact, I have my own company that I base on Blender quite heavily, and as everyone who works with Blender knows, that you never have enough render power. So I think this is a really beautiful service because of all the development that has been made by Nathan and Jesse, who sits in the audience. It's very simple to use. The only thing you need to do is really to register an account on the render farm, and then you can download. You can even use the Blender trunk, I guess.
Yeah, the main branch.
The main branch.
Yeah.
And all the scripts are included as add-ons, so you just enable the the add-on that you need, and you're ready to upload. And it's just a matter of setting up your scene and pressing render, essentially. So it's really easy to use. And you have a lot of idle computers waiting for you, so it is essentially quite effective. That's an example of, well, you know more about this.
Yeah, actually, so the thing is that what we're trying to achieve is the most accessible render farm of all time, hopefully. So actually, a lot of the work has been going to the accessibility side of the service. So it's really fast to use, but also in terms of power, I just wanted to bring up this last this little thing that actually, if we take this animation, for example, this is by a German guy, Manuel Geisinger. Thanks, Manu. It's a nice demo for us because actually it would have taken 5.5 months to render. So what you're seeing, of course, is the streamable version. But it would have taken 5.5 months to render on an average computer. We actually did it in 1.5 days, and we did it for free. So you can kind of figure out. And this was done with about 700 computers. We currently have about 1,500 computers. Now the cool thing is that the more people join, the faster it actually gets. So and the service will be always free. So this is also an important factor. Now actually going to Dirk, I just wanted to mention the final thing before we get thrown out. By the way, there's also a nice tutorial on how to actually use the uploader. It's done by Hannu Hofren, a Finnish guy. But there's what we did during the summer was actually we actually did a little integration work with a service called recamovie.com, which is actually a service for movie makers. And it's basically a volunteer platform for movie making, and actually it was made by the same people who made Star Trek. So we actually integrated the service with renderfarm.fi, and there are some things that you can do between the two services, which actually enable, and it's exclusive to Blender users, so that's always nice. But I guess.
Well, just to bring up a problem and a catch that is included in this, that's of course the fact that it's open and everyone has access to everything. And the problem in my case at least, is that I do a lot of, I produce TV commercials in Finland, and the problem is that my clients haven't really accepted the fact that it's open, and it's really, really difficult to drive through. So the service is there, and I'd like to use it, and I'd have, in fact, it would serve me quite well, but it's impossible many times because of my clients. So I mean, if anyone has any ideas of how I could be able to teach my clients that open is good, there's nothing to be afraid about that, then please tell me.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.